Hey everyone. So welcome aboard to Watergraph's webinar about how to scale smarter and how leading agencies are winning with data insights. And today I'm your host, Justas Malinauskas, a co-founder and CEO of Watergraph. And of course, today I'm not alone here, and we're going to have a great guys together in the stage and in the back of the stage who are moderating the chat and our questions and answers. Um, Shout out to them. But I also want to introduce who is also joining together with us. So we have myself, we have Cheyenne Sky joining us from Noise New Media. We have Kim Strickland joining us from Peak 7 Advertising, and we have Agne from Watergraph, our head of product. Cheyenne, please introduce yourself real quick.
Yeah, absolutely. Hi, guys. I'm Cheyenne. I am with Noise New Media. I'm a digital marketing analyst there. Noise New Media, we work with online events. So anybody who's selling tickets online is our go-to client. And we've been around for about 16 years now. So it's a great, small, wonderful little company.
Yeah, but I think that it's one of the largest one, especially for the event. So,
Yeah,
I think it's super great to have you on board.
thank you.
Thanks for joining. And of course, we have Kim, as I mentioned previously, from Peak 7. Kim, welcome.
Hi guys, I'm Kim, obviously. I work with Peak 7. I've been a digital marketer for about 7 years now. And with Peak 7, I kind of head up our analytics department. We work mostly with real estate and franchises.
And of course, one of things what I know about Kim also that she was running the huge transformation within Peak 7 into getting more into data, and I think that's a great to have you on board also. So, as a
Thank you.
a
Happy
real
to be here.
frontline specialist. Hey, thanks. And of course, last but not least, Agne Konetita from Watergraph, our head of product. Also, please, stage is yours to introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Agne, and well, fun fact, I'm one of the first employees of Watergraph. Justus and I know each other for a long time, and my main job is to make sure that marketers from all over the world are happy and get more time in their day by using our product.
Yes, so thank you very much. And of course, Agne was one of the first ones, actually the first one to join Watergraph, and I think we built it from the ground up until now. So we're counting, I think, 10 years already in the market. So great to have you on board in the webinar and also in the company. So yeah. And of course, without further ado, let's start the webinar while we all gathered. So again, thank you guys for joining in. We really hope that it's going to help you a bit in your daily work, and then hopefully we will answer some of your struggles which you might be having or might be facing in the future, or you may also hear a lot of great tips from our real experts of our product, but also in the marketing agencies world who have unlocked, I think, the ways how to use data in their daily business and how to help the agency to succeed better. So, of course, there's topics like managing multiple of customers is always a big struggle for agencies in managing campaigns, and everything's is very much overwhelming because the world is moving more and more into bigger scale efficiencies over here, and we need to look into more with less, and so I think this is a perfect timing for us to uncover a bit of this topic. And of course, during the event, we will also cover, how to gain a holistic global view of all your customer and client, actionable and data insights, real quick. And of course, a great thing what we're going to announce at the end of the webinar, we're going to announce who have won a free data stack audit by us, which is going to take 2 hours each. We're going to help you guys to understand your marketing stack and marketing data stack, how it's working currently, what kind of improvements it could be made there, and how it can speed up your work in your daily business. Of course, that's usually a very much natural thing what we do before you become our customer, but it's no strings attached. So we'll be able to also do the same for you guys, and hopefully help you in this data mess what we have in today's world. And quickly moving a bit into check of the audience and what you guys are living by right now. So we would like to ask you a question, very simple, and would love to hear your answers there. in a quick poll. So what's the biggest challenge your agencies are facing right now? And yeah, let's give it a few minutes for that. All right, I see that proving ROI and performance to the customers are very much important. I bet it was always, and I think these days are very, very much getting more of it. I remember myself because before we started Watergraph together with Agne, we were working in our agency actually. So we had agency ourselves. We knew that the same problems. What's there, and Agne is still advising the agency a bit, and I constantly hear that even from our customers, from people who I know from agency world, and that the proving ROI is always going to be there because new agencies pitch to those customers. They say we're going to provide you a better ROI, and doing that. Unfortunately or fortunately, you have the full control of it, and actually you can use the data for it. So that's great to know that we're still, I think, understand the topic pretty well, and glad that you joined the right webinar for now, or for those who are tuning in after the webinar, because we are also recording it, so you will be able to review it again with your colleagues, friends, or family, and also revisit the same topics again. All right. So moving forward. So let's start with a bit of a pains. So I think I would love to ask our guests here to share a bit of what they feel within the market currently, like what the biggest actually data-related challenges agencies are facing right now. And I would love to hear maybe let's start with Cheyenne. What do you think? What are the biggest challenges meaning like data-related challenges our customers facing right now?
Yeah, absolutely. Just looking at the poll, that proving ROI, something that we constantly hear and run into challenges with clients is just really understanding cross-channel performance and attribution. I know that's it's continuously becoming more of a challenge. So just being able to speak to clients about how everything holistically works together, because it used to be you could just advertise on one channel, you could easily prove what that channel was doing, and now it's more of the holistic approach of cross-channel and just how everything works in a symbiosis, I guess. So yeah, I think it's interesting to see that the poll I think that's what we're all doing, is just trying to prove that ROI to our clients and show it.
And I had a couple of chats on LinkedIn actually on a few posts recently. And I think it's also very much coming into a bit of a new phase of the market, that the customers, they still a bit of live in the days of, oh, Facebook is not performing, Google is performing, let's cut the Facebook and Google and double the budget on Google, for example. Yeah. But actually, it doesn't work that way anymore, and I think it's more of a different stages of the funnel when each of the channels contribute to. And I think measuring the ROI across the multiple channels is a very big pain currently, how to actually provide the ROI for the customers. So yeah, so thanks for sharing, Cheyenne, about it. What do you think, Kim, on this one?
I actually 100% agree. And it's not just being able to show how these multiple channels come together and, influence each other, but also pulling these together, seeing these data points together and making actionable insights with our clients to improve the ROI and improve and show that we are working for them and helping them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And of course, I think we talked a bit of one side of how those data related challenges are being faced by the agencies, and from more like a customer perspective. And if you would look at the side of how those challenges impact the agencies' ability to deliver the results, and how to help the customers to grow faster, how to help the agency itself to grow faster, to be more efficient. Do you have any insights on this one? Like what kind of problems it just creates when you can't have the holistic approach?
Some of it is understanding across the board. So what we have, I think in general, is kind of a communication, not just externally with our clients, but internally is making sure all points of contact understand the data and understand where these performance goals are, and then using that to communicate with our clients to kind of push them in the right direction for what's going to work for them.
So basically, how internally it's easy or not to streamline the information and also share it with other stakeholders, and
Correct.
yeah, I think it's a very good point. And Cheyenne, do you feel the same within your agency or within the general market feeling when you speak with others?
Yeah, I feel the same. And I think having like Watergraph as just a constant source of truth for the clients. We're not just sending over an email with like, these are the numbers. They can actually see them. And we have it set up where it does show just overall performance. And yeah, just being able to speak to it, but communicating internally too, based off of what we're seeing is very important.
So basically, I'm trying now to summarize. So starting with, in general, I think in the agency's landscape, what we also seen in the poll that, pulling all the things together to measure the ROI across the whole channel stack or marketing stack, what the agencies are using. And then, basically sharing that with the customers and explaining the value, but also doing that prior sharing to the customer actually, and how that information is being streamlined to the stakeholders who are working on those channels to make the improvements before they're being shared. So I think internally is also very much important. So I think that's a very good takeaway for everyone, and I hope that everyone resonates. You can also bump into the chat and mention that, if you resonate or not, and maybe you have other different channels. We can also cover that a bit. And while we do that, maybe Agne can also share what you hear from talking with our customers also, in the specific topic. And of course, that was one of the main reasons why we also recently launched a new addition to our product. So I think we will also cover that a bit later. But yeah.
Sure. So apart from, in addition to the ROI and proving the value, we also feel that the agencies often, as they grow, they have a need to kind of unify their processes a little bit. So, we hear a lot that there are account managers and they're doing great, but a lot of the times they're not communicating between each other, and they're kind of like spending hours like reinventing the wheel. So there's just sort of like the speed of growth usually in agencies and like the amount of tasks aside from sending out reports is like huge, right? So we hear often that it's also like easy to get into this reactive cycle of just like, I don't have time to worry about unifying the process, unifying the reports, like we just have so many deadlines and things like that. So like the efficiency and like replicating the success, I think becomes super important because nobody wants to be spending time on the tedious tasks. The other thing would be like the new channels that are popping up. So then agencies are always like expected to kind of bring the continuous value with the old channels, the traditional ones, but also to be kind of experimenting with the new ones and see how those compare. So yeah, like making sure that it's easy to bring those new channels in and it's fast to see the results, that becomes also important.
Yeah, couldn't agree more. I guess that's also what I hear from especially like talking with also the customers and also some agency partners, which we still know very well. And transitioning a bit more into the solution which we have built to face those problems. So Agne, maybe you can cover very briefly what things we have what we have delivered to tackle those things, and then we will move also to a bit of examples. How Cheyenne and Kim built those things in house for better basically better and faster, I would say, even ways to get the insights out of the data, which we currently already have, right?
Sure. So Watergraph it's mainly what started as a platform where you could easily create marketing reports, which is one of the sort of most tedious jobs in the agency's cycle. And then we realized that the agencies, they work with that data anyway. They connect the data, they work with the clients, they know what is happening with their data because they see the results, right? And they spend a lot of the time kind of adjusting the campaigns, monitoring the performance outside. So we brought all of these steps inside one platform. So before you do your reports, you're able to host all of your data in one platform, assign like custom attributes to your data, create different aggregation rules, and essentially have one view of what is happening across your client base, across your different account managers, different channels, like for example, seeing a total of all your Facebook pages in one place, right? And you can see which client is performing and underperforming in terms of meta ads, as an example, right? So having all of those steps covered in one platform became a game changer for agencies that are looking to like switch the context less, right? So it's more focused. It's faster to just sort of like have the data in one place, have it transformed in ways that they need. And then once they are able to adjust the performance of their marketing, then they are able to create better results and showcase them in the reports. So that's the sort of like a very brief packaging and summary of what was released.
Yeah, thanks, Agda, for sharing. And so, Cheyenne, can you maybe mention a bit of how Noise New Media applied, basically not even our performance monitoring, but like the general upgrades which we launched in the recent quarters, which were mainly focused on internal operations enhancement, and I think it would be great for others to get to know from what kind of manual labor you were able to switch to more efficient, let's say, and quicker ways to get the result out.
Yeah, absolutely. The performance monitoring was always a big thing to us, but I think recently you guys released the tagging ability, which for us has been huge because depending on the size of our events, results like the average results vary quite a bit. And then also geographic locations of our clients, because we are like fairs. We primarily work with like fairs and rodeos, things like that. So the ability to actually add the tags for the specific locations where we can get like a performance overview and like average of what a certain location does and then what a certain size of event does has been massive for us. So that's an exciting thing that we are still currently building out because it was like a pretty new release, but it's been very important to us to have. And we're super excited to be able to break down the data in that way too internally so that we understand whenever clients are asking, we can speak to more specifics of their event and their region.
So basically, what you mentioned is like the tagging ability lets you to filter out very quickly the different locations or events into the reports or dashboards or even performance monitoring, which you're doing for yourself or the customer, and report to yourself or others very quickly.
Yep. Yeah. And have a internal understanding of like what are our KPIs that we see for this type of event and size of event and location of event typically.
And how does don't mind me asking, and how you were doing that prior, like even when we didn't have that?
We weren't doing it. We really weren't doing it.
So it was more like global overview, right?
Yeah, global overview. Yeah, we weren't doing it too much. We would pull like spreadsheet data, but it was never, that takes time. And then you're trying to break it. Yeah, it was just, we weren't doing it often.
So hopefully that we're saving lots of time for you, to actually work on the insights rather than just get the data and then filter things, right?
Yeah, definitely helping me out quite a bit. So thanks.
That's great. We're actually doing a customer interview right now. So yeah, I think that's great. And what about you, Kim? How did Peak 7 board it? And what
Oh
kind of
man,
problems you solved?
actually, one of the larger problems that you solve is, as mentioned, I work with a lot of franchises. And when we work with franchises, we work with corporate location and then each individual location doing their individual marketing as well. And so the source groups have helped us pull all of this information together into one place, see all of the locations, aggregate all of that data, and be able to not just report on the top-down view, but also on the individual location view. And it's just made it so much easier to both communicate with the clients, of course, but also internally find trends and use and work on those trends or capitalize upon them. And then I'd also have to agree with the tagging. That's really helped in terms of right now I'm working on building a budget monitor within WaterGraph for each individual account executive that we work with, so they can easily go in and check where their budgets are at any point in time for the month. It's been really helpful. It saves a lot of time. It saves a lot of back and forth for us. It's very efficient. And I would say these were things we weren't doing before.
And it's very interesting that you mentioned about account managers, the performance, like different dashboards. Actually, I can tell a bit of a story, how that was built. So actually, and when we started actually importing also customers into it, like you can also do that. So basically, when we had the first iteration of our review launched, I think 2 years ago or something, and it was for a very much different perspective. We just thought of like, let's bring all different channels into one place, and then just have a very quickly loading overview of all the channels what is being advertised on, and one of our customers started using the product way different than that we were expecting them to do, right? And then we of course jumped into a quick session with them, and then they're like, yeah, it's a very great thing, to actually monitor internal work, what's being done by our account managers. We can give them their own views, and they are able to use those views to actually track their own performance within their customer portfolio group. And then of course we're able to measure how our account managers are doing. So it's like a double-sided advantage for the agency, I think. And I think that's a great addition. All right, thanks Kim for sharing that. And Cheyenne, do you feel like you can also benefit that within your company, that having an ability to monitor account manager different performance on this level?
Yeah, I think that's something we could definitely take away. Currently, it's not a practice that we have, but having that ability is definitely something that is a good takeaway from this.
Thanks, Cheyenne. I would like also to hear and share. Basically, I think more sharing. So Agne could share a bit of what we also hear from other customers in the market when we speak with them, in especially recent time when we just launched the feature. What do you hear? What kind of also another use cases are available with that?
Sure. So you both Cheyenne and Kim also mentioned that it's very important to kind of see the trends across various sort of segments of the clients, segments of campaigns. And what we also hear that the agencies use it not just for internal sort of benchmarks, but also as a sales tactic, because they have a clear kind of view of what can be expected. Like, let's say in a year's working with a specific agency from a customer from a specific industry can achieve X amount of growth, right? So that is also great, because then you have a historical view of your clients from specific category, and you can use that as well. So another example was like country overview. So agencies that work with big brands like that have multiple locations, and they have like different currencies even. So it's easy to kind of bring all of this data, unify it in a way that makes sense for an agency to have like local spend, sort of unified spend in like US dollars or euros, for example, and kind of shorten the time from having a lot of data to sort of zooming in the focus of stakeholders, right? Few other things is, of course, is the speed that we hear a lot. So connecting all of those channels is fine, but if you would try to load, like, I don't know, 100 of sources in one table in, let's say, Looker Studio, you would just not see the end result probably, unless you're using a lot of third-party kind of hacks and tools. So we get also a lot of sort of positive feedback in terms of that it does help to sort of get the result instantly. You don't need to, I don't know, load your dashboard to like 10 minutes before the client meeting. It's sort of there already. So
I think that's also very, sorry for cutting a bit. I think that's also very much interesting because I remember when we spoke with Kim previously, she mentioned a bit of a struggle actually with legacy solutions. That you know, like when you want to do that with a traditional, or I like to call it more like legacy things, because you know I think they require a lot of setup. So maybe Kim, you could mention a bit of your experience on that level. You know how it was previously.
Setting up reports in other platforms took a long time. Like we would allocate 3 months of time to setting up something in a legacy platform. And even then, like especially say those franchises where I'm pulling in all that data. I think that was my example, was like we would have to load the report at least 10 minutes before getting on a call with a client or exporting it to talk to our account managers, just because it would take so long. And even then, all those widgets would break, especially if you didn't have the right data connection, or if an account or a campaign name changed just a little bit. So it was a lot of maintenance for these reports. And then when we transferred over to Watergraph, which is as you mentioned earlier, like what I headed up in our company and kind of how I took over and took on this analytics role, we don't have to do that. I open the report, it's ready to go in 30 seconds or less, honestly. And it pulls in all of that data accurately, and I don't have to do as much maintenance in terms of the filters or any pieces like that. It's just easy to use and easy to understand.
And I think what I unpacked some time ago, actually, especially with solutions like, you know, like which were around for some time. I think the biggest problem is they were never thought about agency use case very much, because you know agents usually have, you know, usually a bunch of customers, right, which you need to work with. And what we have currently, so all the channels which we work with, that's Meta, Google, Twitter, and all other platforms, they tend to, you know, change the metrics which they give out. They change the names of it. They deprecate metrics. And it's all nice, right? So it could be done. But the biggest problem is why legacy platforms were never thought about, of maintaining you know, tons of reports or dashboards. Once that is being done, so you need to change the report, and if you have 150 of them or even more sometimes, that's a bit of a struggle. So you need to go one by one and do the change. And that's why actually we had a case when we solved that with linked reports. So we have one report which might be referring to a bunch of, I don't know, maybe 20 reports which you send to a specific type of group of customers, and then that's being populated instantly. If you change one, all the rest changes with the actual, of course, data sources. So I think the maintenance aspect is also most of the time forgotten, and thanks, Kim, for reminding that. I think it's very much important aspect on this one.
And I will say my favorite, probably top 5 favorite features of Watergraph is the template and the linked template, because again, we have those franchises, and every time they want to change to the report, everyone wants to change to the report. So it's just so easy to go into the template, apply it, and then like it's done. I don't have to worry about it anymore. And that's hours saved.
Yeah, no, so I think, and I think the beauty of it, so it actually comes down from you know, people like you sharing that with us, the real problems, what they face, and we tend to ask, okay, what kind of thing within your day-to-day job is taking the most of the time, and then we try to think how that could be speeded up at least. As we also have a fast word in our especially product design team is very much important. We always tell them that it should be very fast to get from something to something. It's not about the performance speed, but actually from getting result in the quickest way possible. All right, and yeah, so coming of course a bit of where we're heading in the future in terms of also covering those problems which we're talking about today. So also we as Watergraph, we also see a lot of change happening because of new things like AI coming up, and all the new channels popping up, and things are being changed. And I think what we want to more and more achieve and present to our customers is actually the ability to adapt very quick, to provide insights quick, and actually automate more and more parts of your day-to-day jobs, which are not your actual insights providing. So for example, what even Cheyenne was mentioning, she was using like very simple way of downloading sheets, filtering out the data and then getting the insights. So we were constantly moving to that direction of automating most of the parts of the work, and that's going to happen to all the things like with our ability of transforming the data, of mapping the data together, labeling it, and eventually I think even reports will be most of the time automated, how they're being created. And of course we have a lot of great things coming up by the end of the quarter, which of course I think it's not a very big surprise. We're also coming up with AI features, what's going to be announced in the product. So stay tuned for that. But I can do a bit of a sneak peek on this one. So we were holding ourselves back for a bit of a time, not to just go in with the train of just doing something AI and just to have it on the website. But we were thinking for that, preparing, and actually this thing, what we're launching, is also going to be one of the first iterations, of course. But I think the things which are coming out, they're very much thought through, and they're not going to just provide you some random insight, but actually they're going to take, again, a holistic approach of all your channels which you have connected, again including the speed of delivery, and I think the main thing what we're focusing on, we want to extend the destinations where you can get those data being delivered to, and we're not talking about only data warehouses. So that's a sneak peek, and yeah. So is there anything what you guys want to share on top of it, or we can proceed to a bit of a Q&A session, and what we might have from our audience in today's session. All right, I think we can go to the Q&A. All right, so we have some few questions prepared from our customers also, who are participating, as I see now, in the attendees. So so everyone can answer that from us guys. So there's one thing. It's actually an anonymous question. I don't know why. Did you need to bring in anyone new for data management, or did your existing team just adapt it over time? So that's the question. So did you need anyone new in the team to manage the data?
So I would
go ahead.
Go ahead, Cheyenne. It's okay. I would say it was a mix, because I transferred into the data analytics role. I was actually in the account side first, and then I had a passion. So our team worked together to transfer me into that role. And then our digital team kind of stayed the same, and they've adapted with me over time.
Yeah, and for me, it is a brand new role to the agency. So they did bring me in from the outside, and then kept our actual account manager team the same.
And for example, now, does anyone else from the team step into managing a bit of a data, or just like your responsibility only?
I work alongside one of our co-founders, Steve. He's awesome. We kind of tackle it together. It is primarily my baby, but we do work together from time to time. And yeah, it's nice to have him there.
It's always great to see founders also stepping in, and helping a bit of that.
Yeah. for sure.
Actually, we had a couple of conversations, I think, with Steve previously also, and he helped a lot, especially on the recent launches. So that's always great to have that. So shout out to Steve. Thanks
Yeah.
for involvement.
Great guy, great brain.
Yeah, I can talk. I think about all you guys. So that's great to have you. What about you? Sorry, what do you feel, Agne, in terms of like what you see from the customer perspective? Also, like, do they onboard someone new for data management, or they just move to resources in house already?
I think it's very similar to Kim's case. I think it's if there is a person who has like a natural drive towards like structured data and sort of adopting new ways, it's often internal. And it's a lot of the times it's the founders who are looking for ways. It's even some like it's not even marketers often that we see that they're looking for solutions. It's a lot of the times just in general like operations people in the agencies. If the agency is still small, like growing, like mid-sized, it could be even the account manager. But I think the main sort of breaking point that they feel that, okay, we're growing and the current processes need to evolve, right? So it's not just about reports anymore. It's having processes around connection, transformation, setting KPIs for the teams, setting KPIs for the clients and things like that. I think, Kim, you mentioned like a good sort of angle, how your team does it. So you mentioned your weekly kind of check-ins with your team, right? On that data. Can you expand a bit on that as well?
Right. So every week, the digital team, including myself and our account managers, get together and we talk about each of our clients, what those KPIs are, what our goals for improvement are, and that includes like what our action items are. And we give our account managers the tools that they need to communicate to the clients. And then, of course, they have access to our WaterGraph dashboards and share those with the clients as well. And we've kind of built this up where additionally, it's not just these weekly meetings, but anytime an account person is scheduled to meet with a client, we use our project management system to kind of update the dashboards and provide insights that way. So they always have something to use and be able to communicate effectively.
I think it's a great example that it's not just about the platform and the dashboards itself, but also spending time with the team to talk about it, to have a conversation, so everybody can learn from it, right? So it's not just the data itself.
Exactly.
I think we have another question. Yeah.
Yeah, we do. So there's another question of how do you keep client reports detailed but still easy to digest? And is there any tips what you could share?
For us, whenever we're onboarding a client, we make sure to ask like what they're really looking for. And then we base what we're showing on the dashboards off of that. There's a ton of metrics that we as marketers look at that would make no sense and probably overwhelm the customers. So we just always try and be very specific about what is their goal and then just show the metrics for that. So I think, of course, for us, we're more of we're selling tickets, so e-commerce in a sense. So definitely showing like revenue, return on investment, things like that are typically important for our clients. But yeah, I think my tip is just as you're getting to know a client, I would just ask them what they're really looking for and base the reports that you're giving them off of that.
I think Steve from your agency also mentioned that some of the clients, they just need to know if the tickets were sold and not, it can be
Yeah.
a yes or no answer, or it could be just having a dashboard ready that they can load, they can change like date ranges and check. So it very depends on the preference of the sort of end viewer, right?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. I think that's a very good, very good suggestion, actually. All right, thanks. We have a few more, as I see. So unfortunately, all of them are going from anonymous. How do you get leadership and team to understand not only the data, but also the importance of relying the data over to the client? Mm.
I would say that's kind of been a struggle within our company, because we work with a lot of real estate clients who have not necessarily worked with digital marketing before, and they don't quite understand everything. So you have to make sure from the get-go that the people who are relaying that, so your account managers, understand that data. Internally, that often becomes, making sure and explaining things very calmly through our project management system. We will do like internal calls about this and say, hey, this is actually an important metric and here's why. And then part of our onboarding process moving forward for account people as well as digital people is just like a basic training that we watch, some videos on YouTube, or they can get their certificates as well. But we as a company have understood that everyone on our team needs to be educated on what digital marketing is and what those KPIs are and what they mean.
That's nice. I think educating is very much important. Then everyone can be on the same page, especially when talking, especially with the customers. We have April Allen, if I pronounce correctly, wanting to speak actually, or not. Yeah. Well, is it not? Is it yes? I don't know. I'm allowing to speak if April wants to speak. If April, you want to speak, you can unmute yourself. All right. So whenever you want to, you can do that, if that was the need. Until then, we can actually cover one more question. Do you use Watergraph reports as a sneak peek of how performance results will be presented when you pitch new customers? That's a good one, actually.
For us, yes, it's a big selling point for us. Yeah.
Absolutely. All clients want to know that they're involved and that they can see how their accounts are performing without getting bogged down with the, actual platforms that we're operating on, because those can be very confusing to novices.
Yeah.
And I think fun fact also, like when we started Watergraph, and sometimes I'm like broken record, and I think I told it like hundreds of times, but for a different group of people. So actually, when we created Watergraph, the main idea was actually not the report should be looking and understandable, great, not by the agency themselves, but actually about the customer. So we thought of how to make report very much understandable by the customer, and we're talking about 10 years ago or even more, I guess, when we were just scrambling the idea. And then we had only Google Analytics at the time, but that was the main dashboard everywhere, what everyone's using. So imagine landing, I don't know, like some property developer or event organizer on Google Analytics. Even back in the days, it wasn't very much user friendly. So yeah, I think that was very much important, and I'm glad to hear that it's still a very much selling point. And we also hear that a lot from the customers sometimes, that they actually use us to win the customer. Yeah, thanks for sharing. All right, and yeah, let's take the last one, I guess. What's the main metric you look at to feel confident that your account managers are really delivering for clients?
I think Cheyenne actually said this earlier, which is it depends on the client's goals. what are they looking for and are we delivering on that? I know for our company, very often our goals are conversions or leads, and being able to quantify and qualify those for them, which has been really helpful. So we'll see those numbers. We determine our benchmark KPI. So this many leads versus this CPL, and we'll go from there and say, okay, this is higher than our benchmark or this is lower than our benchmark. And that's how we kind of determine how we're performing for them.
Yeah, that's nice actually that you mentioned that you use benchmarks of your own. That's actually a very good addition. We haven't, I think, touched that a bit, but I think it's a great thing what you can actually do with data when you have it in place. What about you, Shan?
Yeah, for us, because we are e-commerce, I think our biggest thing is return on investment. How many tickets have been sold, so conversions, things like that. That's typically what's important to our clients. But again, kind of as I had mentioned before, we do ask them what's important to them. We work with, some people who really are just starting a first year event and are more interested in awareness, just brand awareness, impressions, reach, things of that sort. So it does depend just really what the client looks for. But I think overall, our main goal is looking at ticket sales and revenue.
That totally makes sense, I guess, especially in your field.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. All right, and then we have the last question, which we have even more. So I think we're still okay with the time, so we can still answer. So there's one about the product. So is it planned to organize folders into folders? That's I think very highly upvoted thing. So that's a moment of truth, I guess. Agne, I'll let you to go around that.
I think we do have plans because we see that the amount of reports is not going anywhere. There's insights, dashboards, monitoring, and the AI. But at the end of the day, agencies still need to organize the reports, and having a tidy room, right, with what you work with is important. So yes, it is planned, and we will announce on the plans in our sort of changelog in what's new section.
Now it's going to be recorded, so I think we're not
I can
going
see
to
Kim clapping.
avoid it.
Yeah, now I can't disappoint.
All right, thanks for the question. All right, and I think the last one. Do you recommend using a standard reporting template for each client, or creating a report that best fits your client's needs objectives? Oh, that's a very good one. So do you guys adjust the reports to each customer, or you just follow what you want them to show?
I would say I use a mix. So I have a standard template that I have created with all sample data that kind of has the organization in the way that I want it. And when we get a new client, I, grab those KPIs and then I duplicate or I create from that template, but I unlink it so that I can make the adjustments that I need to based on that client's goals, which has saved a lot of time because they all look very similar. So that's branding there, but it has their individual data based off of what their goals are.
That's a good hack.
And what would be your preference? Would you like to share your type of report, or you still would love to actually adjust to the customer need? Because that's actually very mixed. So different agencies do it differently, very much.
I prefer to adjust it to the customer's needs, especially like depending on the detail level of the customer and what they're interested in. And that's something that our company is very big on, is this hyper localism, which is each client kind of gets treated as though they're our only client. So we try to tailor it each one. So each of our reports has their logo on it as well as our logo on it. And like they get sent out to these people. We try to tailor it as much as possible.
Sounds great. What about Noise New Media? Yeah.
Honestly, exactly the same. We do have a template that I've built out, but the amount of channels that we use per client varies significantly based on their budget. So it's always tailored to the client, but I do typically always start from a template just for time saving measures. and then
course.
adjust it as needed.
And I think in the previous I think even previous webinar, I think Cheyenne, you were together. There was one great idea shared by other participants at the time, that they do insert some blank spaces, like with some metrics into the reports of services what customers not currently using. So for example, if you work with only organic and you offer also paid services, so they include some, I don't know, social paid section which shows zeros, because you don't have where to get the data from, and then they're like, oh, why it's zero? We don't do paid advertising, and they're like, why we are not doing it? And then it's actually great upsell for agency to their customers in a very subtle way.
Good idea.
So I think everyone can use it for
Yeah,
sure.
it is.
I see Kim already implementing that.
Oh,
All right.
yeah, the wheels are turning.
That's great to hear. That's great to hear. All right, so we're getting into the last minutes of the webinar. So thanks for staying that long time.